So I'm Regional Behaviour Support. I work with Sandy Gillett at Denise Cable Campus. Has anyone heard of Denise Cable Campus? Right. This particular professional development little suite that we've put together is entirely designed for schools, but it'll give you a bit of a look at what you can get through One School. You're all familiar with One School? Heard of it? Had to deal with it? Been on pracs, written up behaviour incidents? You know what I'm talking about. Excellent. No? You got lucky. It's coming. So how we present in schools is actually sit there with your computers open and download a behaviour export report from One School. And it doesn't matter which school you're in, non-compliant with routine is always the biggest one. It's always our most popular category on One School. It's what's happening most in classrooms. It's the biggest thing going on. So we go through this for all my schools about 2.5, 3 years ago. So when I was presenting in my schools, I would say, have a look at the numbers. One of these is your schools. And it doesn't matter whether it's secondary or primary. It's the same thing, yeah? So, trends. So these are the implications for our schools. Oh, really? Behaviour management is overtaking teaching and learning. Have you heard that? Mm-hmm. Yep. Admin and leadership time, energy and focus expended on reacting to and following up behaviour issues. Time taken on One School. The implications for the students are absolutely horrible though, because it's impacting on everyone in the classroom, not just the kid that's being non-compliant, it's impacting on everybody in the room. The expectations are validated. What we're talking about here is the expectations of the student, because you've got a bunch of students in any and every classroom coming in with, I'm useless, I'm worthless, I'm not worth it, I can't do it, I'm no good at it. And when we make it into a behaviour situation, rather than a teachable moment, we validate their expectations and they go on to the next class going, I was right anyway. Minor incidents become majors. Have you been on prac and just been observing and watched a moment go from, well, that looks a bit hinky, to, oh my God, explosion, chair throwing, things ripped up, swearing, yeah? Have you ever looked at it and gone, if we'd stopped there, we would have been right? Are you familiar with the behaviour escalation spike? Marvellous. We're looking at that calm, anxious, irritated bit. We want to get in there, yeah? Has anyone told you that on your behaviour escalation spike, if you track the teacher, they're usually 2 steps ahead of the kid? If you're in a situation and you've got a kid about to implode on you, or explode, as the case may be, usually you're a few steps more escalated than they are, because you can feel it coming, you can see it coming. All behaviour is predictable, yeah? It's a form of communication. They're telling you something and you're getting the message that something's going to go really badly really soon. So we need to be very careful of ourselves. Personal and social capabilities. There are general capabilities in the Australian curriculum. You will know what I'm talking about when I keep talking about it. General capabilities, personal and social capabilities curriculum is one of them. So it's part of our CARA, it's part of our, not a CARA, it's part of our Australian curriculum. You can find it on the CARA website. And these are the teachable moments that we want to latch on that will stop something from escalating and that will give that kid the skills to deal with the same moment another time. That's a minor. A major will generally take longer and you generally need more people's information as well. So you can 45 minutes for one behaviour. Power struggles with students. Over on the board, I've written Brian Mendler. We're going to see one of his videos in a little while. And he's going to talk about power struggles with students. Once we mess with a relationship, we've then got to fix it, yeah? What you want to be doing is building and maintaining, sustaining, not destroying and having to take 7 steps backwards and picking up from scratch again. And considering the fact that everything else, academic, social, behaviour, schoolwork, playground, how they all deal with each other is based on relationships. We need to model how to build and maintain these in class for these kids. Scooting through. Has anyone heard of spoon theory? It actually relates to chronic illness, but it's really applicable in our classrooms these days. So your average neurotypical person in a functional home with all the supports in place, all of Maslow's stuff lined up, feeling a sense of belonging, safe, secure, fed, watered, sheltered, clothed. Your average neurotypical has all the spoons in the world. They go about their business and they do all their stuff. People with chronic illness wake up in the morning, and as they wake up, they learn to count their spoons. How many have I got for the day? What am I feeling like? How far can I get through this day? If I've only got 7 spoons for the day instead of unlimited, what can I then do? Because rolling out of bed is going to take me a spoon. Am I then going to shower or am I going to eat? Because that's a couple of spoons each. Then am I going to make it to work? Am I going to people effectively? Am I going to get my job done? I didn't have enough spoons to pack a lunch. Now I've lost a spoon because I'm hungry as well. And suddenly we're at meltdown, breakdown point. So this little spoon lady, she's directly off the website of the woman who coined this phrase. The woman has lupus. I think her name's Miss Andrew. She has lupus, and she used this metaphor to explain to a friend what it's like to have a chronic illness. So coming across this and having spent 20-something years in teaching, I'm seeing a link between what we see in the classroom and kids turning up without enough spoons to get through the day or to get through that particular class. So from spoon theory, we get into cognitive load, cognitive overload. This graphic is actually from a website creator. And it's about how websites can cause a bad mood. Websites can have inconsistency and a confusing display and be poorly primed. You might not know what you're actually looking for and then can't find it on the website. So you end up with feeling like it's hard work to find your way around. It's unfamiliar. And if you've already got not a lot of spoons in that department, you're going to end up feeling anxious, which may then have further consequences. You might end up feeling sick or in pain. Things feel untrue. You don't trust it. All just feels yuck and bad. So again, if you relate that back to a classroom, how we present things, how we put things together, how we deal with things that come up will dictate the amount of cognitive load we put these kids under. So we've only got so much cognitive capacity available to us before we go into overwhelm. It's happening to students in classes all the time. Some of them before they even get there, just with the thought of it. Roll up, there's a new teacher. Oh, my day is over. I can't even. Without a teacher who knows my routine, the idea of me having to advocate for myself at age 7 or 13 is just not going to work for me. Cannot. And you will have all heard of executive function. So lack of spoons or spoons being depleted, cognitive overload results in executive function challenges. And this is what classrooms are all about, is developing executive function. You are going to see in class issues with action. You're going to see the kid with ADHD really struggling to sit still, really struggling to control their impulsivity. You're going to see a kid that yesterday or the week before was no problem remembering these facts, suddenly, don't touch it, Kylie, suddenly unable to recall stuff that they learned last week. You'll see a lack of effort. Anyone seen a kid put their head down, put the hoodie up? I am shutting you all out. I am done. I have no more effort to give. Focus. Halfway through a page or halfway through an instruction, hand up. What are we doing this? So what do you want? What do I do with this? Cannot. And activation, organising, prioritising, activating to work, getting ready to start. You had the kid that sits there and goes, I don't know how to do this. You haven't even looked at it. Just can't start. So taking all of that into account, to be actually labelled as non-compliance, the request must be reasonable. So if you have a student who is lacking in spoons, has setting events, things going on at home, hasn't turned up with lunch, is in yesterday's clothes, hasn't slept, then to make a request of that child to do their non-preferred task straight up first thing and focus full on it might not be a reasonable request. It could be as simple as coming into class with your hat on. Dude, hat off. Had a haircut, feeling self-conscious. if you'd walked over quietly and gone, hey, what's the hat still on for? Got a haircut, miss. Hate it. No worries. Sit in the back. That's a spoon that kid keeps, and I can take that spoon another time. Ask within an appropriate context. High schoolers these days will generally pick you up on this. That's not appropriate, miss. Or we don't do that in this class. A lot of younger students will just get confused at you and you're just taking spoons off them. Has to be understood by the student. Going back to your new understanding of spoon theory, cognitive load, and your current knowledge of executive function, if you've got a kid that is not processing the way you need them to, and you've asked them to do something and they haven't done it, is it the kid's problem or is it a teacher problem? We need to make sure that our requests are understood by the student, and it must be within the student's capabilities. So we're going back to, do we have enough spoons to do this? Can the student do what you've asked them to do? Is it appropriate for them to do what you've asked them to do? And then another question I like to ask is, do we really need to? Like the hat thing. The school may have a policy around a hat not being worn in class, but sometimes there's a reason. Sometimes there's an exception. COVID-19, hard borders, but there are always exceptions. Rules aren't the be-all and end-all. There's something for us to work with. And it's got to be age appropriate. If you grab a bunch of Year 10 students and ask them to come sit on the floor and listen to read a story, it's not going to fly in a science class. You might get away with it in drama class. I have. But it's got to be age appropriate, particularly and especially when a student has a different cognitive ability to their age. So if you've got a 17-year-old who's on an individual curriculum plan for grade 4, you don't give them grade 4 work. You don't give them stuff with the wiggles on it, even though that's their level. You make sure it's age appropriate. You've got to be respectful. And the student's attention's got to be gained before the request is made. A random request at a retreating back does not count. A request in the middle of everybody settling doesn't count. If you need one particular student to do something, you need to get that student's attention. Kelly, don't play with that while I'm talking, please. You've got to make sure that they're with you on it. And that's got to be appropriate as well. I'm just going to stop there for a second and get on my soapbox around whole body listening. You must have your feet on the floor, have your hands folded or your arms crossed. You must be making eye contact with the teacher and you must not be messing with anything or moving. Suddenly I can't hear or think about anything else. My leg wants to go, I want to tuck one up. Something, anything, so that I can focus on what's in front of me, but they've cut all of that out. That's not inclusive. Be careful with that. Whole body listening is different depending on who you are and what you've got going on. So, you all should have a pooch template. See, what this isn't just the gospel of St. Kylie standing up the front. This is a whole bunch of strategies you can actually use to, we like the alliteration, negate non-compliance. But the way that we say it is make a connection before you make the correction. Facilitate compliance. Think of a student that you've seen in a class that has demonstrated non-compliance. So a favourite one for me is, nah, miss, I'm not doing this shit. Throw it off the table. Write something like that down in your problem section. This is a tool you can do by yourself. This is a tool you can do in a classroom problem-solving team. This is a tool you can use in units around particular students. This is a tool you can use in staff meetings around other staff. This is a tool you can use about how we're going to sort out the chores in the share house. This will be useful. It works really neatly with students who need visuals. And it works really neatly for students who like to, or who have the amazing skill of being able to manipulate conversations and take them off track. This keeps you on track. So just in that first section, write me down a problem that you've seen in a class. Something, anything. So there's a couple of little criteria here. Be specific, don't touch it, measurable and observable. So Mark Davis likes to say if a plant can do it, it's not behaviour. you've got to actually name the behaviour. What is actually happening? I've got one where the kids were absolutely too compliant. First year teaching full-time as a PE teacher, PE and art, grade 6 PE class, basketballs, ball skills. Tell a bunch of grade 6s to put their balls on the ground. All the boys sat down. And now we get to PBL. Yay! Do you want to explain the flower?
Okay, so this is kind of like the little branches off that are super, super key to help you have an effective classroom. All right, so classroom organisation. There is no point in rocking up 20 minutes later, you've got grade 9, so you're like ready to go for science, and you rock in, you're like, just a second, guys, set up my laptop and all that kind of stuff. Like, you're not like, what? Hi, let's go. All right, yeah, you've got to be organised.
Got to stay near you as well because the camera's low.
Oh, there's going to be lots of movement, Connie. Let's do this. And differentiate your teaching and learning. So like Connie said, especially in the elective areas and stuff like that, you might have kids that are working at a grade 4 level, they're in grade 9, and then you might have some kids that are in grade 9 but working at a grade 11 level. Electives are just like, bleh. Okay, music, I'm drama trained. You may not have noticed. And yeah, that's exactly it. You need to be able to differentiate your learning. Okay, so think about how you're going to group your kids. All right, how you're going to get the activities sorted out. That's how you differentiate. There's probably heaps of other ways that Rod showed you that. And behavioural expectations. Be clear, be explicit. Oh my Lord, behaviour is learned. Okay, there is no point in especially in high school, well, even sometimes up in primary, going, they should know how to get into their passion line. They should know how to line up. If it's term 3, week 1, they've forgotten. They've had 2 weeks holiday. They're just like running riot and out in the park and doing whatever they're doing. So you've got to reteach them how to line up at the door again. You'll go in. We've done this so many times, you're 6. Why don't we know how to line up? Just reteach it. Takes 2 minutes. Then their synapses in their brain go, oh yeah, that's right. We do this. I'm ready. Give them that positive reward straight away because then they'll go, oh, yeah, that's what we do. That's how we like it when Miss says we're doing good stuff. Explicit teaching of social skills. All right. Yeah, whatever. Push, push. Or we don't push in the class. All right. Instead of just going, enough, stop, separate. Okay. Social skills. Our littlies are still obviously developing that. But even sometimes our big uns are still developing that. So you need to be explicit about teaching those social skills. How do we talk nicely to each other? All right? How do we get on as a group? Group work is just fantastic, isn't it? I love saying to teachers, why don't you do some group work in your classrooms? They're like, no, oh my God. No, I'm not doing group work in English. No, it's not happening because kids don't know how to do group work.
But even saying no, a lot of kids don't know how to say no.
Yeah.
That's why the T-shirt was up the front of the PowerPoint. Non-compliance is a social skill. You can buy those. Not that I'm selling.
We don't sell them, yeah, totally. We're not getting any, yeah.
But non-compliance is a social skill that needs to be taught. How to say no thank you, or I'm not ready, or I can't, or I need some help with it to an adult is a skill that a lot of kids are not explicitly taught until it's almost too late.
So explicit is the key word. Positive reinforcement, so I kind of touched on this before. Funny that, they're all kind of linked. But yeah, positive reinforcement. Reward the behaviour you want to see. Engaging in rewarding a behaviour you don't want to see. Is the kid actually trying to get your attention? And have you just rewarded that kid by giving them your attention? How can you flip it? All right? Like Carly said about being 2 steps ahead, you need to be 2 steps ahead about their function too. All right? Think about it. Oh, I know that kid's going to kick off and he's going to want me to go over there and be like, Rod, I've told you multiple times that we don't play on our laptop when Miss is talking. Rod's like, yeah, Miss spoke to me. I'm amazing. All right, that's what Rod's doing. I know you love a little booty pop, Rod. Okay, so instead, you need to be like, Rod is so ready to come and sat down. We're just going to put the laptop down. So you've already given them that attention, all right? You've pre-corrected him. So he's not going to go onto his laptop because he's already like, yeah, spoke to me. Okay, active engagement because you've got to be in your classroom. Your kids have got to be in your classroom, all right? There is a little bit of this action going on. Oh, is it Misty, Miss? It's Misty, all right? Get them back in. links to active supervision. All right, off you go. You know what? I love my little Garmin watch that tells me how many steps I've done, because you should not be sitting down as a teacher, really. Active supervision, you are working the room. The cameras are lovely. Come on, Carly, let's go. You are working the room, okay? Yeah, I know you. You are working the room. I've had conversations with staff that were talking about attendance and role marking, legal requirements, so make sure you get that down. And if they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm like, oh, you marked that kid absent. Was the kid there? Whoa, what? You don't know the kid wasn't in your room, or was in your room? Why have you not met them at the door? Hey, Rob, thanks for coming in. Hey, Lil. Hey, Robin, how's it going? Name the kid. Positive relationship. Feel valued. This knows my name. This cares about me. Oh, gosh, touch the screen. Did I? Oh. So responsible. Yeah, so it makes them feel valued, it makes them feel important. So you've already got that positive relationship, but you're also then actively supervising. All right? You know if they're off task before they get off task, and before they have to like throw a pen across the room to get your attention. Because you're already like, oh, Harry, are you all right with question 2? What's going on with question 2, mate? And you're going, yeah. Like, you're already there. You've pre-corrected him. You've got him back on task. You're actively supervising. Consistent and fair consequences. It's more important the kids know it's going to happen than what it is that happens. Okay? So if you're going to keep them in for a detention, it's more powerful if they know you're going to follow through on that. Certainty over severity. That detention, don't put a time on it. You're going to be in for 20 minutes because they want to be able to work it off. Let them work it off. Lucy and Emily want to be called out. That bum, girl. I can see you. I'm actively supervising. I know. Okay, so you have to make sure that the kid knows you're going to do it. Don't say, I'm going to give you detentions for a week. Don't ever do that. Don't ever say that.
You're setting yourself up.
Don't give yourself that detention, okay? You need that time in the staff room to go, oh, holy Jesus. So you regroup, get it in, inject the caffeine, and off we go again. Okay? So, yeah, don't give yourself that. They need to know, I'm going to have a conversation with Miss or Sir after the class. That certainty is way more powerful than severity. Okay?
It's also about your own teacher well-being. This is
Totally.
the major buzzword around and about. How are you going to feel if you are emptying your own bucket on a daily, noticing everything horrid about what's happening and giving everyone detentions and being there doing the grump all the time? You come out of every day going, no more. I can plant strawberries instead. If you're focusing on the behaviour you want to see, the positive reinforcement, the behavioural expectations, you're focusing on what you want to see, you're filling up someone else's bucket with the good stuff, you've got the emotional bank account thing going on, and you come out shining, going, oh, that was great, I noticed this, and this, and it was lovely, it was fantastic. So it's about your own well-being. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the grump in class?
That's why you are just like that lesson was an absolute disaster. I'm never doing group work ever again. I don't care what Kelly said because that is just horrendous, okay? But what I always say is this active supervision, you work in the room, you do whatever. Have a moment, and it's real hard because you're like, no, I need to be on. Take a step back and just have a little check-in. On task. Oh, yeah, I'm working there. Emily, Emily, 1 minute. Yeah, great, Marcus, yeah. Have a moment. Because then when you go back to the staff room, reflect back on that moment. You go, you know what? 98% of the kids were actually on task. Yeah, it was a little bit noisy. Yeah, there was a little bit of movement in the classroom.
But it was about the task.
It was actually about the task, and the kids were engaged, and the kids were loving it.
So you've had a bunch of the empty jug style theory. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. You may have noticed we're pushing for an instructional approach, the teachable moment, rather than the punitive tell people off for something they've done wrong. You can stop a whole bunch of stuff from happening before it has to happen if you see it as a teachable moment. So we've got a bunch of strategies for how to. So if you're talking about chemical changes in the body there, so then you could be talking about medication changes. We have one student at a school I'm dealing with has been perfectly fine all year with the behaviour, brilliant, but having seizures every week, hospitalised 11 times in 6 months. Changed her meds, no seizures. The behaviour, no, I'm not she's gone. We've got a little problem with the meds at the moment. It's not working real well for school, but no seizures, chemical changes. Something I've recently learned quite a lot about is girls with autism and women with autism. And they have a massive capacity for absorbing other people's dysregulation. So if you have a student, a girl with autism in your classroom, sitting there, head down, getting on with it, doing what she needs to do, no problem. Some other student barrels past, banging windows. Suddenly this one's flipped the chair and is out sitting in the corner. Is feeling as dysregulated as the one that went past, banging the windows, but through no fault of her own. So we need to look at that. Thank you, everybody. And then we move on to, once you've identified the why, help the kid process it. You might need to give them the words. You might need to use PACE. We'll go into that a little bit more later. So 2021, 2011, 10 years ago, who was in school in Toowoomba when the floods hit? Are you aware that there is a whole town trauma situation going on around rain? Yeah? No? Mm-hmm. We have had a bunch of kids come through, a bunch of students come through GKC over the years and see it in schools. When it rains or when you get an afternoon thunderstorm, kids get the jitters. And they're kids that weren't even born when that happened, but they've seen over the years their older siblings and their parents react. One student that I worked with, he was stuck with his mum, supposed to be going to his dad for some time, and they couldn't get across the town to get to dad. So they were isolated, separated, and the trauma around that, every time it rained, Tristan needed to call his dad and make sure his dad was okay. Tristan needed to call his mum and make sure his mum was okay and that everyone was where they needed to be and that there were no floods between there and there. And he was 11 by the time I got him. So he would have only been about 3 when the flood happened. So sometimes you need to help and identify what they're actually going through. I'm just so upset. What are you upset about? Are you upset or are you frustrated? Or are you confused? And is it coming out as anger? Do you actually need some help with that? I wonder if you're wanting to hide under your desk today because it's raining outside. Is the thunder upsetting you? Do you need your earmuffs on? Can we play some music? Okay, what does choice mean? In a lot of schools, you choose what committee you're put on. There's workplace health and safety, there's social, there's PBL, there's this, that and the other. And you choose with the idea that as an adult, you will then own your choice and get involved and be actively engaged in the committee. That's exactly it. The big thing to understand about providing choice is it is never, what do you want to do? No. Never. I want to go home and play my Xbox. Fuck you, miss. I'm out of here. Suspended 2 days. Yes, nailed it. You know what I mean? So it needs to be this activity. Like if you've got a child and you've provided the right level of work, but they just can't come at it right then, it needs to be the activity you've got planned and your plan B. Yeah, they're your choices. And plan B depends on your student and their individual needs. Is that a preferred activity or is that a similar task, just scaffolded, chunked differently? It's appropriate adjustment. So for primary, it might be, well, would you like to do this in the beanbag? Or would you like to do this sitting at my desk? It's the same task. I do that. But I'm on the wheelie chair, so it makes it all better. Guided choices. Yeah, it's never carte blanche. It's always this or this, and we'll follow through. So if you get a blatant, nah, don't like your choices, no worries. Have a bit more of a think about it. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Hit and run, keep moving, go somewhere else, do something else, come back. So which choice have you decided now? Nah, I'm still not doing it. No problem. Have a rest. I'll come back later. I'm not having that fight with that kid. They're the only 2 choices. And on the next round, so which one are you going to do now or are you going to do on my lunchtime with me? I've moved on. We've got the logical consequence. You're wasting my time, I'll waste yours. The choice one has been spectacularly illustrated recently at a school I'm working at with a Year 3 student who is displaying oppositional defiance disorder. He's addicted to his books. His books are his escape. His books are his way out. He reads at about 4 or 5 year levels above where he's at, and he loves his books. But he will bite you and kick you and scratch you. He will just blatantly leave the room to go and change his books at the library. We can't seem to get the teacher librarian to not keep giving him books. Just shut that down. I'm out. See ya. He just disappears out of class in a maths session. So Yesterday he got given the choice. You can give me the book and go where you've got to go, or you can choose for me to take that book off you. It's your choice. Yeah, you can choose to give me the book, or you can choose to lose the book another way. I will give it back to you at the end of the day, but we're not having it now. We're in a time in, we need to reflect on what we've been doing and how we've been doing it and how to do it better. We need your attention. You don't need to escape into your book. We need you here. And it was his choice. He did end up not choosing the one we needed him to choose, and the head of special ed does have a bite mark on her arm. He didn't break skin though. Celebrate individuality. Hi, welcome. And accomplishments often. We're back to specific positive feedback, that positive reinforcement. And you've got to celebrate not just accomplishments, but approximations. Teach and model alternative problem-solving strategies. I promise you that if you break out your pitch template that we're going to work through a bit more during this PD, if you break that out in the high school class, they're like, leave us alone, miss, we will sort that out ourselves, rather than walk and talk all the way through it with you. You can provide them alternatives, but they'll choose their own way anyway. But teaching and modelling alternative problem solving, my favourite one at the moment is, did you mean to say? So that's my favourite go-to phrase. I use that on all levels. I've even used it with my boss. So you've got a kid in front of you that is, fuck you, miss, I'm not doing it. Sorry, you came in late and didn't hear the disclaimer. You just got to bleep me out here. Not doing it, get out of my face. Did you mean to say, I'm not ready to start? Give me a minute. That's a good one. The kid grabs the table, white knuckles it through gritted teeth. I'm not ready to start. Give me a minute. Gotcha. Bail. Kids sit there going, I just told her to F off. I'm not in trouble. She's done what I needed. This might work for me. If you want to replace the behaviour you give them has to be easier than what they were doing. Has to pay them more. Has to give them what they want. If the replacement behaviour is too hard, too difficult, too much, too long, too polite, they're not going to have it. So we've gone replacement behaviours in individual support plans at DKC. You've got a kid screaming blue murder, calling you everything under the sun. My ears are turning blue and falling off because they're words that I've never heard in combination before. So you've got this kid doing all this in front of you. The replacement behaviour might be, it's still not socially acceptable, but it hasn't disturbed everyone else in the class and it's got the message across. It's easy. And it's easier for them, yeah? And they're in less trouble because we've had a discussion about it. Dude, flip me off and leave the room. I'll know where you've gone because we've got that safe place down in the community room down there. Yeah, you'll go straight there and I know that you've had enough of me and we'll sort it out later. So you've arranged it and it's all good. But hasn't disturbed everybody else in the room, hasn't been written up for swearing. You haven't spent 25 minutes on one school. You haven't had to call in the principal. The kid hasn't had to be suspended. You've built relationship. And then you go and check in. Dude, you really weren't ready to deal with me this morning. Are you okay? Like, what have I missed? How can I help? And we've helped to build and maintain that relationship so we get further the next time. Yeah. Choice. It wasn't anything different. It wasn't a preferred activity. It was a guided choice. Yeah. And it was just modelling it instead of, you can't talk to people like that. Did you mean to say? And giving them the response. It's doing all of that. This one can be difficult. Be clear in your communication. Sometimes being clear in your communication is just admitting when you've stuffed it up yourself. Yeah. Possibly the most difficult bit of advice we're going to give you all day. Control your own emotions. Has anyone left a lecture or a tube or some situation, walked up to one of their mates, gone, you won't believe what I heard today, and had the moment venting, I just need to vent. In a school, if you walked into someone's office and gone, oh my God, that's called co-regulating. And yet we're expecting students in our class to self-regulate. Don't do that. Look after them. We can't do it ourselves. 9 times out of 10, we co-regulate. It's all about co-regulation. It's that neuroception thing. You walk in dysregulated, you guarantee you're going to kick off half a dozen in the room around you. So if you can learn to not take behaviour personally, fuck you, miss, I'm not doing it. Did you mean to say I'm not ready to start this, or I don't like this activity. It's not me taking personal offence. You can't speak to me like that. Well, I can, and I just did, and I'll do it again. It's not about me. It's about them. It's their meltdown if they're going to have one. And it's actually your job to stay as calm as you can and in your own space and your own place and your own power. If you engage in that carry-on, what have we got? It dominoes, it crashes, and you're spending heaps of time on one school and you're making phone calls to parents saying, we had this moment. Be careful that you don't have to admit operator error. And then when you do stuff it up, be brave and just admit operator error. So-and-so had a meltdown today, but it's not his fault and I'm not writing it up. But I'm telling you, he's coming home, not okay. Yeah? I picked an argument about an activity that probably I shouldn't have today. He wasn't up for it. So you're building and maintaining that relationship with home then, the carers, as well as the kid. And it's all a teachable moment. So the behaviour generally isn't about us, but like you say, when it is about us, we need to actually brave up and own it. Yeah? If we've set it up. So at Denise Cable Campus, every time we have any kind of major behaviour, and that's where the team leader is called, we go, hurry up, get down here. That one we all spend, the whole team that we're anything to do with it, all spend 20 minutes at the end of the day mapping the escalation analysis. What happened? Who did what happened after that? How did that happen? Why did that happen? And circling where it went pear-shaped. It's there. Well, guess what? We knew about that. We knew about that on the check-in in the morning. We didn't do what we should have done. That's operator error. Dude's not written up. We have a moment. We talk it through and everyone starts on the same page the next day. So we've got the little be like the plane here, and we talk about, an ideal trip. We're going to have to change this. No one's going anywhere anymore. When you're going on a trip, though, you want your landings to equal your takeoffs. So the link we're drawing there between a classroom is you want to walk in and walk out with the same amount of kids in the room. You want to walk in okay, and you want to leave with everyone okay, if not a bit better than they were when they walked in. You want your landings to equal your takeoffs. You don't want to have to eject midair. You don't want to have to get out the oxygen masks. What else can go wrong? You don't want to get halfway through the trip and realise you've no snacks or that they're all peanuts and everyone's allergic, right? You need to know your audience. This one's a bit quiet.
We have a name for this strategy. It's called the 2-minute intervention. The 2 stands for 2 uninterrupted moments. The 10 stands for 10 consecutive days. And I'm going to show you how to build a relationship with a kid like Mike.
This
quickly,
is you and your
guys on your own paper. Now. Hey, Mike, what's going on with you, man? Mike, you tired? Because I get paid to be here, and I'm tired half the time, too. If you could be anywhere else in the whole world right now, Mike, where would you choose to be? Anywhere else. Because you know what I would choose to be? Jamaica. I went there last year with my family. It was amazing. They got the best jerk chicken ever. What's your favorite food? Mike, what's your favorite food in the whole world? Mine's chicken wings, but I don't eat them very often. Do you believe that in some places they actually ask you if you want ranch with your chicken wings? It's like outrageous. You know what I'm saying? Instead of blue cheese, they shouldn't do that. Mike, if there was any 2 things I could do to make this class better for you, what would they be? Any 2 things, Mike. Because you know what I would have said if a teacher asked me that when I was in school? I probably would have said, never any more tests and quizzes and never any more homework. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Well, I'm glad you don't think anything because I can't do either one of those 2 things. You know what I could do? I could have you sit with me when I write the next test. I mean, heck, Mike, you can't fail a test that you helped write, could you? Well, I guess maybe you could, but that would be kind of a disaster, wouldn't it? Mike. It's a cool bracelet. Where'd you get it? Oh, good? I didn't know if you were going to tell me. I thought this was going to last like 9 hours. I was thinking to myself, this is the longest 2 minutes I've ever spent in my life. Good job, Mike. Good job. It was hard, right? Yeah. Hard for both of us.
Eligible Queensland homeowners are getting...
What do I do? That one? Learning. Slow, but learning. So that's exactly what you were talking about, is just not giving up and not taking it personally. Mikey's got his head down, and it took a whole bunch of all sorts before Mikey would even engage with anything, and then it had to be something personal and important to him. Where'd you get that bracelet? Yeah? So you all learn about, you need to know your audience, you need to know who you're dealing with, you need to find that point of interest where you've got something to talk about together, or not. And this is when it's clear skies and the plane is just sailing and we're all good. You want to look up verbal judo. I've got it written on the board over here as well with my other little bits of homework for y'all, like you don't have enough. Verbal judo is a book you can get on like Apple Books or eBooks or whatever. And it's by George Thompson, who's long gone now, but used to be a policeman and was really, really bad at it. Yeah? Because getting compliance from your contacts involves some kind of a connection, some kind of a positive relationship. If you front up to, as a policeman, a car that's been speeding and go, "You were speeding," you've got the person on the back foot already. They're like, "Ah," and it's all over. You've seen Highway Patrol, haven't you? Yeah? Anyone know Officer McCran? I went to high school with him. I love the way he operates. It's about this verbal judo stuff. Yeah? It's about having the person come to compliance of their own accord. So you rock up to that car and say, "Dude, you're going really fast. Are you okay?" It's an entirely different approach to rah, rah, rah. Does that make sense? Because now you've stopped the monkey chatter in the brain. They're like, "I'm in trouble. I'm going to go ballistic at this one because I've got to get somewhere." Then you go, "No, I'm not okay. This has happened and I need to get right." Now we know what's going on. We can problem solve together. We're back to the pooch. So verbal judo. Everyone wants to be treated with respect. Anyone in here not want to be treated with respect? Ah, okay. Everyone would rather be asked than told what to do, right? With this whole verbal judo thing, I like to bring people back to staff rooms and staff meetings. Everyone wants to be treated with dignity and respect. Don't pull a stunt in a classroom that you wouldn't pull in a staff room. Does that make sense? If you were in a staff room and you had a teacher, the admin, someone up the front scream at you, "Put that down, we're not writing at the moment." As a grown-up, thrilled? No, don't do it to a child. Yeah? Everyone wants to know why. There's not many of us that would just blindly go, "Oh, you want me to write this out 3 times by hand? Sure, no worries." Why am I doing it that way? Can I not use carbon paper and just do it once? Why? Well, because it has to be an original for this and this and this. So you need to let people know so that they will get on board with you. We're back to providing choice, options rather than threats. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. An ultimatum. Give an ultimatum to a student with oppositional defiance disorder or autism and see how far you get. They will shut you down quicker than you can spit and be gone. Because by that stage, you've given them an ultimatum. They don't care what happens. We're done now. I'm not your friend anymore. We are over it. And this kid is off the charts and you've lost them. Options rather than threats. It's your choice. You can do this or this, or you can pick one of these to do now, or we can do it at lunchtime. Your choice, but not threats. And like Joe and Rachel have already pointed out, everyone wants a second chance after making a mistake. Yeah? So we need to give these students a way back after they've given their display of, "I'm not okay." And that's where my favourite, "Did you mean to say," gives them that second chance right then and there. Stops the monkey chatter and gives them a way out of it. Does that make sense?
It would be good. Yesterday I was doing something with the boy. No, it was a really good one. I'm going to remember that for this particular child especially. Because I was trying to do something for him and I had forgotten how to do it. And his words to me were, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Because he was so frustrated because he couldn't, and it was only because he couldn't get what he wanted. It wasn't because of me, it was because of what I was doing, because he couldn't get what he wanted. So I just happily ignored that part and just said,
strategic ignoring, yes.
Exactly, ignored that one. We'll make it happen. But I wish if I'd said,
Did you mean to say,
I really want this right now.
I'm really frustrated. Help me, miss.
But then we were chatting for the rest of the day, like, because he second chance, he forgets that because it's not personal, it's not directing at me.
It's just what my husband would call outburst. And
Yeah.
wants it.
Yeah, like if it's like my partner's ex maybe, so every word that comes out of his mouth is colourful. But like our son, if we're talking to each other and there's colourful words, as we like to call them for 5-year-olds, hears them, he doesn't copy the word, he asks us, well, what's shit? Like, what's so bad that you have to say it's shit? And it's like, it's really confronting because then I'm like, you know, I could have chosen to say something different. And he's always like, it must be serious. So what's shit, Mum? And I'm like, so it's like, it sort of gives me that perspective when I'm in a classroom, like if the student's having an outburst, I'm going, let's talk about like what's happening. Because obviously like you're unhappy, how can we fix it?
Yeah. Be specific, measurable, and observable, child. If you're telling me it's all shit, I want to know what aspect of it is shit so we can sort that aspect out.
And it's like, just what part is this part? Yeah.
Be careful with your own language in front of students. Like there's times and places, and I will blatantly admit with my name badge on and everything that I have sworn in front of kids in context and generally mirroring their words back to them to have that verbal judo effect of, whoops, what just happened there? Yeah, they just stop cold and go, you're not allowed to say that. I'm like, shh, don't tell the teacher, right? Miss, you are the teacher. Whoops. Okay. So am I in trouble? Do we need to do like a re-entry meeting? Do you want to run that with me? And flip it around, but it stops what was happening. And now we're on to another tangent that will give us a way back around. Now we're into our Adlerian loops. Yeah? Have you heard of Adler? We've got pre-service teachers here who've never heard of Adler. Let's write that one up on the board. Have a look at your Adlerian loops. Let's see you. Thanks, Miss. Okay, I mentioned PACE earlier. So PACE is an acronym developed by Dan Hughes at the Dyadic Developmental Psychotherapy Network, and it's primarily used in therapy. But through therapy with Evolve, you've all heard of Evolve in town? Yeah? PACE has been shared in this region extensively and is absolutely a spectacular way of structuring your speech and your approach to absolutely everyone. Heads up, when you do it with someone who knows what PACE is, sometimes you'll get the don't pace me, I just want to be upset. But it's an actual approach you can use. We use a small P for playfulness because it's not always appropriate to be playful, right? When someone's flipping a chair, you don't want to be making jokes, yeah? You want to clear the room and give them some space. But you do always want to be accepting of where that student is at, where that person is at that you're dealing with. Then you use curiosity to get in there and find out what, why, how you can do something about it, if there's something we can do about it. And you always want to practice your empathy. Being empathetic is a bit different to being empathic. Shut that down. That is not going to help you a whole heap in classrooms. You will get overwhelmed and burned out very quickly. But you do want to practice being empathetic, understanding where someone else is coming from and what they might be going through because of that. Yeah? So an example of playfulness appropriately, again, you go back to verbal judo, it's that stopping the monkey mind. It's cutting them off at the pass before they really get escalated. Miss, you're nothing but a pussy. Me? Like that? Oh, miss, not what I was talking about. I know, but, you know, it's a situation. You don't want to do this activity. I'm telling you, you've got to do it. Let's go and have a talk about it. Let's go and do something different. Go for a walk and we'll come back to something, anything. What actually happened in that situation where a 7-year-old boy called a grade 2 teacher a pussy, she went ballistic. You can't speak to me like that. You're a very naughty boy. This kid is in kinship care and has not seen his mother for 7 years. He's out of his tree on his best day. And he's got one of his favourite adults yelling at him, standing over him and pointing in his little face. Didn't go well. There was an incident with the second-story window and stairs and all sorts of stuff. And they tried to suspend the student when we know that the kid had had a care replacement breakdown the night before. He'd been removed from kinship care the night before. That was not an appropriate time to let rip at a 7-year-old. Yeah? So all of everything that we've been talking about comes into play. Look after your own emotions, keep it in context, know your audience, who you're dealing with, what's happening with them. And when appropriate, be playful. You can break it up, you can go a long way. Yeah? Oh, I'm trying to use my clicker. That forever. So Brian Mendler is one of my favourite finds in the last couple of years. It's easy to be respectful to respectful people. Anyone can do that. True character is maintaining respect to disrespectful people. And pace is a neat way of staying respectful. Yeah, it's a really tidy approach. It deflects from you because being playful, accepting, curious, and empathetic is all about the other person in the situation. You've taken yourself out of it, right? You're maintaining respect while someone is having a crack in your general vicinity or at you. No? That didn't work either. This is where you remind the student not to hit the tech, as it doesn't help. Help, please, Rod.
Grammarly does more than catch errors. With Grammarly, you can find really good, no, perfect words that make your writing sharp or...
I want to demonstrate a power struggle for you real quick. I've been in a few of them in my life on both ends, both the teacher end and the kid end. And I'm actually going to play the role of both, teacher and kid. Thanks. Where does the kid usually start off? Seated, right? Where does the teacher usually start off? Standing, right? And it goes something like this. Now, here's the thing. Remember this. Power struggles are always about the same thing. It doesn't matter what we're arguing about. It doesn't matter if I dropped a piece of paper, I didn't do my homework, or I called you a name. It's never about that. Power struggles are always about one thing and one thing only. The kid doesn't want to look bad in front of their friends. And the teacher doesn't want to look bad in front of the class. And I can prove this. When's the last time you all had a power struggle with a kid in private? Okay, you might have had one, but I guarantee you have a lot less in private than you do in public. Privacy is such an important part of our system. Anyway, power struggle goes like this. Ready? Kid is usually seated. Teacher's usually standing. By the way, here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take this to an extreme. Because I believe if you can handle the extreme, you can handle anything inside the extreme. Anyway, tell me if I'm wrong, but does it not go something like this? Yeah. 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 Yeah, 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 yeah. Teacher last word is usually what? Out. Yeah. Or out, right. Kid, at least where I work. Whatever. This class sucks anyway. Think I care? What? Why don't you get up and say something? Ugly ass hoes. What? Yeah, man, why don't you just shave it off, bro? Because you are losing it. What? You got a problem too? Yeah? What? Say something. Yeah, I didn't think so. Mr. Mandler's an and if you're lucky, right? If you're lucky, they slam the door open and they leave, right? And what happens if you're not lucky? They stay, right? And they go one way and you go another. Guys, I was in Savannah, Georgia recently. I saw the worst thing I've ever seen. I saw picture this, a kindergarten teacher. She kicked the kid out, right? And the kid wouldn't leave. So she says, I said get out. And he goes, I'm not leaving. And so she goes after him, and you ever see a 5-year-old? I mean, they're fast, right? So the kid starts running around the room. So she's chasing him. He dives head first under the desk. Like Pete Rose used to slide in baseball. Slides head, pops right out the other side. She slides under and gets stuck. She's like, oh. And all the little 5-year-olds are like, ah! I'm like, you're never allowed to dive headfirst after a kid again. And I'm just curious, like the kids, when they leave, right, do they ever go directly down to the principal's office? They don't? Boy, I'm shocked. Where do they go? Yeah, they go meet up with all the kids who have been kicked out of all the other classes. And for the first time in many of their lives, they finally form their own cooperative learning groups, do they not? Yeah. At least they're in a group. And you know, and they go in the hallway, and where do they go? They go to the gym, and they go, I walked around the school a little bit. It's really nice, you know. They go all over the place, you know. Half the time they come back and wave to you, hey, what's up, right? And then eventually they make their way to the principal's office. And those of you that are administrators that are in here, tell me if I'm wrong, but eventually they make their way to your office. And by the time they get to your office, are they not looking something a little bit more like this? Morning. Regulars go right for their chairs. They're in there every day, right? They're actually pissed if someone's in their seat because they're like, that's my chair, get out. I'm in here every day. Administrative secretaries and difficult kids are really good friends, and a lot of times people ask me why, right? Look at you all like, yeah, I know, right? They are, but don't wonder why. Here's why, right? Because we always used to get kicked out, and then the principal's like being in the dentist's office. It's never like they see you right away, you know? You have to wait in the waiting area, and that's where the secretary is. So you're sitting there waiting, and you're like, she in a good mood today or bad mood? Really? She did? Which car did she drive? Is her husband in town or not? That's good. Yeah. I know I'm down here again, but you know that teacher. I mean, you don't even like her either, admit it. I mean, your kids go to this school, and they didn't even have her. Right? By the end of this exchange, the secretary is offering the kid coffee. We're like, nah, we're good. Right? Or can I make any copies for you? Like, yeah, you can do that. I have a test here, copies. Anyway, and then, of course, the administrator calls me in, and it was always me when I was in school, and I'm going to pick on everyone right now, so that means no one's allowed to get offended since I'm going to pick on everyone. But I'm going to start with administrators because I'm not really sure if this is why they make a lot more money than teachers, for these two brilliant questions that every single administrator in America asks every single kid who's standing in front of them. The first phenomenal question is, what did you, and what does every kid in the whole world say back? Well, but this is why they make the big money. It's for this amazingly intelligent follow-up question. Well, then why are you? And what does every kid in the whole world say back? I have no idea. I don't know. She's the one who sent me here. You know that, lady. And good administrators, right? You guys are able to get kids to take some responsibility for themselves, you know? So the student might say, well, I guess I called her a bitch, but she is one. She is one. Do you ever see how that lady talks to kids? She is so rude and so nasty and so mean. And my brother had her last year, and he said the same thing about her then. And my mom had that old bag 25 years ago. Can't you guys find anybody younger? And teachers, we're no better. You know why we're no better? Because what do you all expect? You expect the principal's going to wave a magic wand and make the kid better? So where do they almost always end up sending the kid? Back to class, right? And after promising to be good for, I don't know, the rest of their lives, they come back to class looking something much more like this, do they not? I'm back! Told you I'd be back! What up, dog? What's up, dog? What's up, baby? What's up, girl? Give me a hug. Come here. How you doing, baby? What up? What up? What up? What up?
In year 9 class, yeah?
What up? Looking happier than ever. Totally disrupting everything. And now teachers, we're no longer mad at the kid. Who are we mad at? That's right. And this is a vicious cycle in school that never ends. Unless we end it. Unless we end it.
Monday.com Work Docs is a new kind of...
Ending it happens in the classroom. Yeah? As soon as you eject a kid from your classroom, tip him out the door on the plane with a parachute on, the kid's fine, but you've lost that relationship. Yeah? So if you can fend that off at the pass, if you can do something different in the classroom, then you are more likely to build that relationship further. And you're not going to have to be mad at anybody else because you've dealt with your own problems. Yeah? You can see why Brian Mendler is one of my favourite people now. So now we go back to the template because it's there for a reason and it is a tool that you can use. So what could we put in our options? So this is a pooch template, and every now and then if you're in around me, you'll hear me, do you want to pooch it then? Like, what's our problem? Let's pooch it. Make sure, what we can do in our options here is we can hassle a kid. The kids put their head down on the desk and is not doing what you ask them to do. You're like, what is your problem? Whack that in there. Put that in your first one. I'm not going to tell you again. We have turbulence on the radar. We know something's coming. Yeah? But we're going to keep going anyway. Come here right now. Woo-hoo, guaranteed, not happening, right? Even as an adult, someone tells me, come here, I'm like, oh, and this is my favorite. Down. Guaranteed explosion, 0 to 100 in 0.2 of a second, right? Straight up. We call that chandeliering. Have you heard that phrase? When it looks like someone's all good, someone says, just calm down, and then they hit the roof. Yeah? Hanging from the ceiling. Favorite, what do you want me to do about it? I'm not doing this work, miss. What do you want me to do about it? Oh, and this is the one we got at St. George, because those are the rules. That's what's in front of you. That's what you do. No flexibility, no adjustment, no accommodation. Right. Option 2. So we're going to pick one of those last ones. These are things you can say, yeah? Whack one of those in the top one. I didn't bring green cards. What have I done? Can you email a template to these guys for me, or are you losing them?
Yeah, no, I can.
And everybody's written on my attendance sheet, which is where now? Has everybody written on it? No? You've got your email address on there, I can send as well. Yep. So these are our discouraging inappropriate behaviour strategies, and they come from the ancient Effective Skills for Classroom Management suite of learning. Have you heard of Effective Skills for Classroom Management? Yes. A lot of schools are still leaning on this like it's the be-all and end-all, right? It's a little tiny bit of a lot of stuff, yeah? Effective Skills for Classroom Management training is not going to save you from everything. It's just a little scary, but these are your fantastic go-tos, your hierarchy of prompts. You start with something very gentle, right? You want someone to do something, like stop writing when you're talking. All that's needed might be to just appear somewhere in their vicinity and everything gets put out of the hands straight away, yeah? Non-verbal cue, one of my favourites. I've spent a bit of time learning sign language. I've forgotten most of it, but every now and then there's bits and pieces that come good. Across the room, I can do a in that way, please. Don't have to say anything. Just they get it. Keep moving. This was our cueing with parallel acknowledgement. Yeah, praise somebody else. Ignore that carry on that's going on over there. Give them the message. This is what you want. Focus on the behaviour that you want. Redirect. All right, we've had our fun. We've all had a giggle. Now we get back to what's in front of you. Like Brian Mendler did, back on page 10. Yes, I'm a dickhead. Keep moving. Reteach. Oh, do you need more help with that? Have I not taught that properly? Let me go through it again. Can anyone else explain it better than I can? Oh, I love doing that one. I got out of so many Year 9 history classes by saying, can anyone else do this better than me? Yep, Gracie will always get up. Miss, just sit down. Give me the marker. She's up the front and explaining it in ways, because she's picked it up super quick, that fit in other people's heads. Whereas I'm just stuck, I just have this content and I have to get through that. Gracie will tell it like it is. Provide choice. We've done this one to death already today. Yep. I will say again, though, choice doesn't mean what do you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Student conference. So this is our often comes up on one school as a quiet, close talk to restate the rules. Yeah. Now, the idea is that these are in a hierarchy, that you start with this and work down to that. But again, know your audience, right? With old mate Charles that I work with, all I need to use is proximity, yeah? If I redirect him verbally, I can guarantee that chair is getting flicked and he's out the room. If I try and go and have a quiet, close talk to him, F you, miss. But if I just stand near him and give him space, he knows his responses. He can say, I need help. No, I'm right, miss. Or leave it. Yeah? We've got our agreed whatever. That's all I need to do. Elijah, however, doesn't notice proximity, will not get it if I praise somebody else. Elijah has autism and pathological demand avoidance. So what I do with Elijah is I sidle right up, get down close, whisper in his ear, mate, you and I have already discussed this. You remember what the go is? Yes, miss, I have to. Get on with it. So knowing your audience, I don't do all of this. Elijah doesn't get choices. Elijah gets the mad close talk, yeah? Because he and I have got a history around this stuff. And he'll default to non-compliance every time. So then you come at him from a different direction. So these are our slightly better options than our last page, yeah? Pick one of these, whack it in there. If you haven't already, because some people are ahead of the game.
So that's statement.
We don't need any other comments. Thanks, Emily. Okay, and this is our best options. This is where you get right through it. Use pace. All right, I can see you're not ready. I wonder if you'll be ready in 5 minutes. I'll come back and check and just give it some space. Yeah. The opportunity to reteach presents itself. Did you mean to say you're reteaching that skill all over again? Yeah? Personal and social capabilities curriculum. You will have in every one of your classroom a couple of students who have already been baselined on the personal and social capability curriculum and are operating below their age level, right? Know those kids. Know what their next skill is. Know what you need to be explicitly teaching or reminding these people to use to practice consolidate. Individualise. Like Joe was saying earlier, your classrooms are diverse and your accommodations and adjustments should be just as diverse. This one can be tough for some of us. Biting your tongue, go gently, okay? I have been known to stand there. I won't do it today because, the COVID thing, we shouldn't be touching our faces and everything, but I have been known to stand there and look at a child and hold my tongue, like literally grab it and hold it. What are you doing, miss? I'm holding my tongue. There's other stuff I want to say, but I'm not going to say it because you're already upset and I'm already upset. This kid's like, what? I'm going over here. I need some quiet time. And the kid's sitting there going, did I upset you, miss? Yeah. Now, this one is tricky as well. Preserve dignity on both sides. And I'm sad that Kelly isn't here right at the moment because I think she would disagree with this one also. I'm a big fan of taking the mickey out of myself first so that nobody else has to do it. Yeah, if I say it, then the kid doesn't have to say it. So I will always refer to myself as the old grey-haired lady, the silly cow in the funny jacket or the weird leggings. I'll do it first. So I'm all about dropping my dignity a bit so that the kids have more face in the class. Yeah? It's up to you to find your own flavour with how you do this. But self-deprecation is my favourite. And then you've got to flip to being the adult. Because the kid is having an issue. The student is having an issue. It doesn't have to be your issue. You need to stay as the elder in the room. When it comes down to it, be playful as much as is appropriate, but when it comes down to it, we're the hard line, we're the adults, yeah? We're the support, we're the strength in the room. We should be the calm that they're neurocepting and working off. Doesn't always happen. And adjust the routines and expectations. This is where I said before that the rules are there as guidelines, yeah? More of a guideline. You set up with your explicit behavioural expectations teaching, you set up the expectations, you set up the routines, but they're always adjustable. They're your routines. The classroom is your bubble. This is your place to work and your flavour to work with, yeah? Now, what Joe's going to do in his classroom is going to look incredibly different to what Olivia is going to look like in the classroom because that's how they relate to people, yeah? And Kelly's mad movements and hectic, frantic energy is different to what I do sometimes. But in a classroom, this is my space and place to mess with, yeah? My flavour works in here. It's my relationships with everyone in the room that's going to either float the boat or sink it. So pick something that you would do to deal with our problem here and whack it in there. These are our best options. Antiques Roadshow, good, better, best. You want one of these in your list. How can you address the situation that has come up as a problem and turn it, shift it, change it, stop it from exploding/imploding? Okay. You will have seen or heard all of this sometime already in your short teaching lives, bless your hearts. I'm really sorry about it, but teachers are the worst. You will have seen a teacher take it really personally, feeling personally attacked. You can't talk to me like that. That's rude. When a kid kicks off, this is your opportunity to practice your own resilience, to practice your own mindfulness, being present in the situation, and having a red hot crack at it. I'm going to do my best to have this day end with everybody in the room instead of ejecting some so they form their own cooperative learning groups elsewhere. This is what Joe was talking about earlier as well. Irritation, anger, or condescension. You're not having a good moment. You're like, rah! Okay, sorry, that was bad. I shouldn't have done that. I snapped and I yelled. What would I have been better off saying or doing? And you can do that with prep through to year 12. Usually after year 10 you don't need to because those kids are generally there by choice. Have you guys heard of bull shift? Yeah? If you haven't, a lot of the workplaces work under bull shift. Instead of being defensive, be curious. Yeah? Like Brian Mendler was talking about, we can always be offended, but we choose to be offended. You don't have to be. You don't have to get self-righteous about it. So, bull shift is a fun website to play on that talks about shifting the bull and becoming more constructive with what we do and how we do it. So instead of engaging in a confrontation, diving into a slide under a table, chasing a kid, don't do that. Engage in the learning on both sides. So this is where it's the teacher learning how to best help the student and the student learning how to ask for what they need from the teacher. Yeah? It's learning on both sides. Help me learn how I can help you better. This will usually work with your average neurotypical cognitive capacity from about year 3 up, yeah? You need to adjust to your audience. With a younger student, it might be offering guided choices around co-regulation and then modelling using that yourself. And this is what the whole thing has been about today. Punitive response shifted to an instructional approach. It's all an opportunity to get in there and teach something different, to learn something different. Does that all make sense? So this is the personal social capability that I was talking about earlier. This is just a screenshot of the self-management. There are 4 strands: social awareness, starting with self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and then social management. And the trick in a classroom these days is to be aware of this and to be able to flip and switch seamlessly. So if you've got a kid, you're working in a class, maybe you're a high school math teacher, you're in year 8, you've got a bunch of 13 or 14-year-olds there, and you've got a kid that's not going to engage with the maths lesson. But you do need to engage with their self-management element. They're still trying to identify and describe strategies to manage and moderate emotions in increasingly unfamiliar situations. We've got a new math teacher, got a new maths test, got something else different. You need to scaffold the work around this in that session. And write it up as such. Like that might be a conversation with a case manager, it might be a contact on one school. You need to acknowledge that you've been there and done that and work with that student, right? So it's not academic curriculum versus all else. This is part of our curriculum as well. Okay, the pooch. At your own tables, I'll let you, actually, it's 11. Do you guys need a break? Movement break, drink break, water break? Yeah? Can we give it till 15:15? Is that enough time? And then we'll come back and we'll finish the pooch off. Yeah? Thank you. I just keep going forever. Took the lid off the cast iron pot. My knees are like, no.
Harvest.
Oh, really?
How you
Did you have to have music? No. Can you just when you're ready, lollies and jelly babies? I didn't need to. Meaning,
Thank you. So you've got your pooch in front of you, you've got your problem, you've got your options. What might be the outcome? And you don't have to fill in all the boxes, but there are often more than one outcome possible for an option, right? I did this recently with a bunch of year 3 to year 6 students, all with autism. And one of their options, like the problem was the kids aren't listening to me in class, so we sat down and pooched the problem. The options, well, I could swear at them, I could use a timer and just take their time back at recess, or I could sit down on the floor and have a cry about it. So my outcomes for sitting down on the floor and having a cry about it, the kids are going to tease me and they're not going to listen to me because their teacher's sitting on the floor crying. Yeah, there's an outcome. Not ideal. I could swear at them. One of the outcomes, I might lose my job. Yeah, also not ideal. Not going to pick that option because of those outcomes. Do you see where this is going? Yeah, so write up your potential outcomes for each of your options, have a chat about it. I'll give you about 2.5 minutes to do that one because I'm a big talker and we're running out of time. Already done? Love your work. So once you've got a few outcomes in there, we'll give it 35 seconds instead of 2.5 minutes. Once you've got your outcomes in there, you kind of play an elimination thing. What do I really not want to engage in here? Where do I not want it to go? Cross that option out, yeah? I don't want to get fired, so I'm not going to swear at a bunch of students in my care. It left us with one option that the kids had actually come up with themselves, is that once I ask for attention and they don't listen, I just set the timer, and however long it takes is how long we spend at break time doing it. It's just a logical attached consequence. They made it up, they owned it, they ran with it. When they saw the timer go up on the screen, straight to it. So the most we had to wait twice was about 35 to 40 seconds. And we took that at break time. We sat there and looked at each other and blinked and tried not to laugh for 40 seconds. And then next time I called them to attention, they listened perfectly the first time They're standing looking at me for 45 seconds, waiting for the timer to go off. There's something they didn't want to do again. It worked. So, then when you've got your choices narrowed down, and I can see some crossing off of things happening, you've got your option to go with. So you choose it, you write that one up, and you might add to it some aspects that you need to bring into play around dealing with this. So mine was I needed a timer on the board that everyone could see when it started to happen. Then you put it into play. And as this is a behavioural intervention and you're changing your own behaviour, you actually, well, you're changing your own behaviour in an effort to change other people's behaviour. You need to give it time, practice this, get this intervention right, and then reflect on it. Yeah, so you don't reflect on it after the first day. We did 3 weeks. I only saw these kids one day a week. We did this for 3 weeks. And then we brought the pooch out again and went, so how's it going? Well, 2 weeks, we had to stop for 35 to 40 seconds. And then we haven't done it at all this week. So has it worked? Yes, it's worked. Will I keep using the timer? Yes, miss, keep using the timer. All good. So you've got to go back to the end, and it says CH on here, but on yours I pulled one from Safe Minds. It gives you choose and then how did it go. The other important thing with how did you go then is to reward yourself. Yeah, you've done this whole reflective process, which is what teaching is all about, is being reflective, thinking back and learning on what you've done and how you've done it so you do it better next time. What are you going to do to give yourself props for having done this? Give yourself something for it. Pay it. So there's a second handout that's got the whole pooch overview, all the bits about it. I just gave you that one for the fun of it. Usually I don't hand it out, but I did want to introduce you to Safe Minds. Have you heard of that? If you haven't, have a little bit of a play on Google. This is my list of things you need to look up. This is my list of things I've discovered in the last 5 years that feed into making life easier for me and my students. Yeah? So, what was I looking at? Safe Minds. For your own and for student wellbeing, this is an amazing resource. So, just a little quote from George Thompson from back in the day. The secret is simple. It's okay if someone resists or attacks you. Laugh it off. That's no sting. If you fight back and resist the affront, you give it life and credibility. Yeah? Back to Brian Mendler. Choose if you want to be offended. Are you going to get on this, like Rod said before, is this the hill you're going to die on? If you defend yourself, you invite counterattack. And this is where I go to self-deprecation. I don't defend myself. I'm the first one to say something stupid about myself. I put myself in there first so the kid doesn't have to say it. So you end up being curious instead of defensive. Drop the defensive. We've got nothing to defend. We're doing our job. It's not a personal attack. And now we're back to Brian Mendler. Did our landings equal our takeoffs? Or did we eject somewhere in the flight? And then, are you the passenger or the pilot on this trip? These kids are passengers, yeah? We're the ones that are adjusting and dealing with and working on and building the relationships, the pedagogy, the content, the process, the environment. We're the ones that have control around all of that to be able to make it easier for our passengers, right? So I'll make Brian Mendler. Never take it personally. Second to last word is best. Private is better than public. Negotiation is good. And walking away equals a strength. Let's see if I can make him work now. Not going to do it. Thank you. Northern Hemisphere, it's a different time of year. He talks about months of the year. You need to flip that 6 months, yeah? I'll do it. Okay, so leave that alone. He just talks about hanging in there. Are you going to be the person that goes into bat for this kid. Like Kelly was talking about that student, the student said to her, you're never going to let up by your miss. No, I am the constant. I am here. Everything else we've talked about, changing needs for students, everything in their background, the setting events, that backpack of stuff they're dragging with them. We can be the constant. We can be the adult that changes that kid's life. It really only takes one to advocate and to actually make a shift in a kid's brain that someone does care and someone will go into bat for me. And there's our sources. So I can send you those links as well if you'd like them, but we've got the list up there and you can find all that stuff just by Googling. Yeah. And then this is soon to no longer exist. But when I send you an email, it'll have a link to the Ed Studio, which at the moment is still operational. And you can get in positive behaviour support, positive behaviour for learning. You can find out about Denise Cable Campus. There's all sorts of stuff in there that you can have a dig around. In your notes, if you write down Google Behaviour Queensland, you'll come up with the Education Queensland, Department of Education, whatever they want to call themselves, behaviour website. And you can dig in there and you can find, leave that one up there for a minute. Can you just mute that whole thing for me for a second, please? The AV stuff. Hid them, put them somewhere safe for safekeeping, filed under P for important stuff. In the Behaviour Education Queensland website, you can find what is called effective classroom management. You know, I talked about effective skills for classroom management, yeah? That's like a little skerrick of this. This is the flower that we were talking about before, the positive behaviour for learning. This is the business. I've saved this till the end because, just quietly, let me just take my badge off. I'm just sharing this with you as a friend. You know, we've made these connections and it's lovely. Apparently, we're not supposed to give these out anymore. So we haven't copied documents for everybody, but just quietly, dig around on the Behaviour Queensland website. And if I send you an email to everybody, I might accidentally attach a PDF of this. Yeah? It's broken down into all these sections that Kelly talked about earlier. And it gives you list after list, ways to develop positive relationships, consideration for classroom setup, teaching classroom procedures, how to, the 4-step process. Yeah? Introduce, teach, model, practice, role play, reflect and monitor. It gives you everything you need to know. Geez, I wish this came out 25 years ago. I can't believe how many schools, countries, states of Australia I've operated in without this in my pack, and it would have made life so much easier. Yeah? So this little puppy, you need to find and you need to have a quiet read of and a flick through. Even if it is just, I've got one kid in my class that is giving, I don't know how to be nice to them. They're bugging the heck out of me. How do I? Positive reinforcement is on page 17. Best number in the world. There you go. Here's ways of providing positive reinforcement. While I'm speaking of positive reinforcement, you people have done a study in the area of the function of behaviour, understanding the function of behaviour. So when you're looking for positive reinforcement, be aware that you might want to match it to the function of behaviour. Have you been told that? So if a kid is trying to get away from your attention, don't set up an activity where they have to sit with you, right? If a kid wants time out and away from a task, set that up. They may have to come back to the task at another time, but pay the function of behaviour with what they need. Yeah, it will help to build the relationships and for understanding to go both ways about what's expected for the student and what you can adjust and work within your own little teaching bubble. Yeah. So this one is my favourite book in the world. We've used it for coaching and feedback with teachers. It's my favourite book. I also like Terry Pratchett, but I couldn't even do that. I can't lie like that. My brain just stops me and I have to get the rest of it out. So I've used it as coaching feedback. We've used it with principals around managing underperformance. You've heard about MUP processes? Mupping someone is when they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing, and you need to manage the underperformance of a teacher. Yeah? So part of the MUP process in a couple of schools around this region now is to do a self-assessment. There's a checklist that goes with this. Which bit of your positive behaviour for learning are you not doing? And if you've got a gap in active supervision, well, you open to the page on active supervision, and these are the things that we need to see from you in the next few months to constitute an improvement in performance. Yeah? This has been used with beginning teachers, new teachers, teachers that have been doing it forever have read this. Some of it might just validate practices you already have in play. Yeah? I hated my teachers as a kid. They didn't listen. They didn't care. They fobbed me off. I was okay at reading, so that was all right. Yeah, I just read quietly. This will actually help you to deal with those kids as well. The ones that fly under the radar, the ones that haven't got any airtime today in this session, the ones that are sitting there doing all the right things. Yeah? I mean, I haven't had to talk to Lil at all. She's just been doing the right thing the whole time. But there's hints and things in here for capturing, acknowledging, and reinforcing that behaviour with those students as well. Yeah, this covers everybody and everything. So I can't, have I done that strong enough, do you think? Have I got the message across? Yeah. Right, so go back to our PowerPoint. We have a little QR code these days because grey hair or not, we have to do this way. We need a little evaluation done. The PD, we'll call it negating non-compliance. If you would please use your devices, if we can't get it up there, and do the little evaluation jobby on there. That and any questions anybody has, now's the time. Do you want to guide any question developing? We might be overloaded. Did you mean to say?
Sorry?
You did, actually.
Yeah. Could you make it in parents like that?
Oh, thank you.
Well, I think it's another Android friend in my life. That's what I need.
No. Hannah would still do.
They would, but I would have skills. You need to nurture the diversity of the classroom. So I think, did you not attend this?
Can you say fine? Great resource. If you start a meeting, So did anyone have any other questions, any other stuff that we haven't touched on, that we could have touched on, or like Robin came up with earlier, certain students that we know, or scenarios that we need help with? Enough talking, Polly, shush now. Negating non-compliance, we're calling it. There's some other stuff in there, but I don't think there's an option for the Gospel of St. Kylie.
I haven't sent anyone from Rachel to the program this year. We haven't got any little buddies this year.
No, usually Rangeville sends elective students in year 6 at the end of the year as kind of a transition thing. However, Region have developed a new team above us in November last year, and currently our Positive Learning Centre, so usually I do a spiel on the Positive Learning Centre and how that attracts students and the electives and how that attracts students, but that's all been shut down at the moment. So we don't actually have a Positive Learning Centre in Toowoomba at the moment.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Question for you, Kylie. If these guys get into their classrooms next year and they're needing assistance or whatever, what do they do?
There's a process to go through your base school. But if you're not out of school, if you're doing relief teaching or something, there's a little email address down here that's not going to disappear for a while. You've got access to me, yeah? And through that, whichever school you're at, we can organise a referral, a request for support, or we can get involved directly with you. Yep, we're here for you. So there are positive behaviour support enhancers. There's a whole list of things that we provide to schools. There's coaching and feedback. There's student support request forms. But usually we make sure that we've done everything on the teacher side, the content side, the curriculum side, the pedagogy, before we get to labelling this child as needing assistance. Yeah? Usually it's a script for the adults first. We also have twilight sessions. How do you access information about twilight sessions these days? Most recently, they've been put on a SharePoint that can be only accessed by corporate emails. So, yeah, be aware that at Denise Cable Campus, we still run twilight sessions, free twilight sessions, 3 times a term in term 1, 2 and 3. So we've got them lined up for week 9. So if you guys want to come down Wednesday of week 9 to Denise Cable Campus between 3:30 and 5:30 and pick one to roll into, feel free. We're doing another Negating Non-Compliance. We're doing Sustaining Positive Relationships with Parents and Carers. And there's another one that I can't remember. So the twilights happen, they're free. They're just more professional development. We do understanding the function of behaviour. We work on a functional behaviour analysis right the way through to behaviour improvement plan / behaviour intervention plan / individual behaviour support plan, whatever you want to call it these days. There's all sorts out there. It's just that with our changes in region, it's a little difficult to find and give a central, this is where it is, because Ed Studio doesn't work anymore. And yeah, we don't have a listserv. But if you are interested, email me and I will attach you to a list. I'm currently running the twilights, so I can make my own damn list. But if you feel like you need in or you want in, we can get you that. Probably the biggest message to try and get across is that you're not doing it by yourself. You're not going alone. There are supports out there for all sorts of stuff. And as beginning teachers, it can be difficult to know where to go in your school, and sometimes you don't want to put your hand up and draw attention to yourself around some stuff. And other times all the stomping in the world won't get you what you need. So you need another way around and another way in. We can do that. Yeah.
That's something, guys, you kind of notice with the connections that you've made through the course with the Going Down Southwest region and with people like Kylie and with the Teacher Learning Centre, is that they genuinely do want to connect with you and support you because they want you to be successful, because they need you, because we need the best teachers up in front of the kids.
I hated my teachers, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I actually went into university saying there's going to be one less arsehole on the education payroll. I have my moments, but generally do try and look after the students first. It's student wellbeing and student outcome that are the big deal. So, yeah, I was supposed to be a graphic designer. 27 years later, 3 states in Australia, 4 different countries. If anyone wants to know about international school teaching, come and talk to me. It's amazing. Sorry.
Maybe just start right now.
Get yourself 2 years of experience, yeah, teaching in whatever area you do, and then you look up an international school and you go to a fair. And usually they, well, I don't know about COVID these days, they'll do them remotely. But they used to have fairs in Melbourne and Brisbane where international schools from all over the world send representatives, and you just do the rounds of the room and decide which one is your fit and what you like, and you interview, then you talk to them, you present your CV, you get booked in for the next day for an interview, and you go like that. I was actually working in a kindergarten in Tokyo when I went for my interview at Yokohama International School, and I spent 6 years there, and it was one of the best teaching gigs in the world. Yeah, apart from the accommodation, the flights in and out, the shipping, the health, they do health for you as well. Learning bits of another language, let's be real, but the connections that you make as well. I have friends now in Copenhagen, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam. It doesn't matter where I could go, I could walk into someone that I've worked with internationally, and it's just spectacular. And there's a lot around retaining good teachers. You'll go for a 2-year contract usually, because it's expensive to get teachers in. So if anyone's part of a teaching couple, they love those, because that's one house for 2 people. So, yeah. Just if you haven't thought about international school teaching, it's a way to do it. It's awesome.
Guys, please join me in thanking Kylie.